This episode explores sensitive historical topics, including violence and racist ideology, in order to examine the lasting impact of systemic racism in the American prison system. We strongly condemn racism and discrimination in all forms. Seth Ferranti here, your guide through the dark corners of the criminal underworld. As an outlaw filmmaker, author, and journalist, I've delved deep into the minds of gangsters, drug lords, and prison gangs. But my journey doesn't stop there. Let me take you on a thrilling ride as we explore the hidden stories and untold truths that lurk behind the prison walls.
You know, when I first went in the feds, it was the height of the war on drugs. I went in '93, you know, that was crazy, but mostly they were locking up all African Americans, you know, mostly crack dealers, you know, from the crack epidemic of the crack era, and a lot of Hispanics. So, you know, you come from a society where white people are the majority, and you go into prison where white people are the minority. So, you know, it's a big difference, man. It's, you know, it was like culture shock for me. So, you know, and I just went in the medium high. So I can imagine some of these young white kids like me going into these high level penitentiaries, you know, if they got a life sentence or they have violent crimes. And then, you know, they have to get with these things, because they have to get with these people, because on the yard, you know, the white boy shot callers, the AB, whatever gang is dominant, they call the shots for the white boys. You got to be in the white boy car. That's your race. It's the only choice you have.
The prison could be really racial, right? But since I played sports, you know, I fucked with all the black dudes, I fucked with all the Spanish dudes, and of course, I fuck with all the white people, because that's my people anyhow. That's my tribe in there. So, but, you know, by doing these administrative remedies and where it was like a hustle, like my own people, they couldn't knock me, you know, because before, like, you know, in prison, like if you're helping a black dude or you're helping a Spanish dude, your own people are, you know, your own people are the first who are going to say something. And they're going to be like, yo, why you fucking with these dudes, blah, 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 whatever. And I'd be like, look, dude, they're paying me to do this shit. I mean, money's green, so motherfuckers don't care. So, you know, that also gave me like a little leeway to what I eventually started doing with my writing, because I did it firsthand. You know, I figured out, okay, well, if it's a hustle, motherfuckers can't really say shit about racial stuff, you know what I'm saying? But like the white boy gang, since I'm white, they would come like try to check me. They'd be like, hey man, like why you writing this shit? You know, what's up, man? You like love blacks or something? You're writing this shit about black dudes, you know? And I'd be like, look, dude, I make money from this shit, man. I'd be like, when you get some heroin, you sell it to black dudes or whoever, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh wait, same shit, dude. It's my hustle. Fuck off.
The Federal Bureau of Prisons have built an even more secure and updated Supermax at Florence, Colorado. The Supermax is a controversial institution. Its critics argue that it makes already violent men more violent. Its supporters argue that such men have proved unmanageable in any other conditions.
The Baron is known as the brain of the Aryan Brotherhood and has been a long-time leader. He is responsible for much of their organizational structure and the formation of the three-man commissions in the California and federal prison systems. Mills is a tactical and innovative gang leader whose word is law. He isn't afraid to get busy himself when necessary, but is equally adept at delegating and passing orders down the line. He became involved with the AB in San Quentin prison in the late 1960s after growing up in Northern California, and quickly rose through their ranks as he returned to prison frequently as a young man, finally getting his first life sentence for the near decapitation of a fellow prisoner. He now resides in the Bureau of Prisons Supermax facility in Florence, Colorado, serving his time in 24-hour lockdown with no human contact. The Hulk is a massive specimen of a man who benches 500 pounds and is known as the Baron's right-hand man and chief enforcer. He is part of the three-man commission that controls activity in the federal prison system and was the shot caller who sent out the order to reignite the race war at USP Lewisburg in 1997, leading to the deaths of 2 DC blacks, the Brand's arch enemies in the Bureau of Prisons. Up until the massive 2006 racketeering indictment against the Aryan Brotherhood, the Hulk actually was scheduled to get out of prison after multiple decades inside. He now sits alongside his general, the Baron, at ADX Florence, doing natural life in total isolation with hardly any recreation time and restricted and limited correspondence. Terrible Tom was from Long Beach, California, and entered the California Youth Authority at the age of 14 for juvenile delinquency. He was sent to San Quentin at the tender age of 19, and when he was paroled from that short bid, he quickly jumped back into a life of crime and was sentenced to 15 years for an armed robbery charge and sent to USP Leavenworth, an AB stronghold, in 1977. He got involved with the brand and murdered an inmate to make his bones. He also got a life sentence for the crime. But Terrible Tom's murdering rampage had just started. The state-raised kid had murder on his mind, but the Bureau of Prisons had something in store for him. They developed a special isolation cell just for him. He was a man considered so dangerous by the BOP that he was totally cut off from the outside world and human contact.
While there is no designation higher than Supermax, officials at Leavenworth have their own term for their handling of Tommy Silverstein: supreme punishment. Behind those 3 steel doors, the only sound he can hear is the buzz of the fluorescent lights that are never turned off. Even though Silverstein told Pete Early that he is getting meaner, there is one consolation. Tommy Silverstein won't be eligible for parole until November 2nd in the year 2095.
You know, in the movie American History X, you know, Edward Norton plays like this white supremacist dude, and he goes into prison, and when he first goes in, you know, he kind of flashes his Nazi tattoo, you know, like he's a badass. And, you know, I've seen stuff like this happen, you know, in prison during my years. Like, dudes would come in, they got all these tattoos, but these dudes are not in these gangs, you know, so they're gonna rip that tattoo off, man. They're gonna get some acid, they're gonna burn that tattoo up, they're gonna make you cover it up. That's just how these dudes roll. You gotta be put into the gang by them. You gotta be tattooed by their tattoo artists in there. You can't just come in claiming something that you're not, or just because you have these beliefs. They don't care.
The main tattoo of the Aryan Brotherhood is the distinctive shamrock clover that made members get to signify that they are official and legitimate members. The shamrock is the brand that gives them the name they go by in the pen, the brand.
The truth of the matter is that the Aryan Brotherhood is not as powerful as they once were, but they have spawned imitators, and in prison systems all over the nation, the AB has members and associates. There's also many state prison gangs who have adopted the name Aryan Brotherhood. This gives the impression that there's one large organization or brotherhood of white prisoners who all belong to the same gang that is all governed by one body and has members in nearly every state and federal prison throughout the United States. But this is totally false. This concludes this episode of Seth Ferranti's True Crime. Be sure to like and subscribe, and join us again for more in-depth stories on some of the most notorious gangs and gangsters from within prison walls to the streets of every city.